2. Avoiding extremes. In this complicated world, it is very easy to become extreme and lose sight of God's will, even in the smallest of things. The spiritual life is like a man walking on a tightrope, hanging above a vast ravine. Such a person who attempts such a feat must be properly balanced, never leaning too far towards either side, lest they fall into ruin. So also, every Christian must be temperate in all areas of their life, never leaning too far either towards extreme piety or into great carelessness. Here the path of righteousness is represented by the man on the tightrope, who remains upright and balanced, steadily walking towards the promised land. Yet, as the winds of life and conditions are all different, the ways in which we spiritually balance ourselves will never look exactly the same for each person. The goal is of course the same, to make it into the kingdom of heaven and to purify our hearts. As of course the commandments are also the same, just as all tightrope walkers must tread in an upright position. However, every Christian must work to spiritually maintain balance in a way which is very unique to them, for there is no one-size-fits-all Orthodox asceticism, and trying to do so without accounting for each individual person will always result in disaster. Let me give a theoretical example. One man comes to church in the evening, feeling very invigorated, having fasted before pre-sanctified liturgy since the previous night. He makes his prostrations and prays with great joy and reverence. Yet he is followed along by another man, having similarly fasted all day. Only this person appears on the verge of passing out, and is not at all pleasant, but rather irritable and surly. What happened? Why such a stark contrast? Well, I shall tell you. The first man is single and has a comfortable office job. Apart from a few problems, all is carefree in his life. As a result, fasting for such a lengthy period of time does not overly tire him, but instead gives him spiritual zeal and energy. As for the second man, he has many children, each with various mental problems, and also works a demanding physical job as a construction worker. Needless to say, spending the day without food is more than his body can take, given the difficult work exposed to the elements, along with his many family difficulties. This is why it is so important to use discernment in the spiritual life, and to always ask for a blessing from a priest in Orthodoxy. For our spiritual Father is there to guide us and help us avoid extremes in a way that is unique to us. The devil loves extremes, for he knows that it can rob us of all grace and lead us into sin, regardless of how quote-unquote holy or good it may seem to us. This is also sadly true for the opposite end of the spectrum, which is complete carelessness. It can often even be disguised as something along the lines of quote-unquote not exhausting ourselves and trusting in God's love. However, this can easily turn into a heretical Christianity, where everything is allowed. You see the great danger. If one solely trusts in God's love, then they may soon do everything they desire, even if it opposes Christ's commandments, using, of course, the excuse that God is love and so wants us to be happy. All those rules are too stressful, they say. I don't think a loving God would expect that from us. God does, of course, want us to be happy. However, He knows it is far more important to purify our internal soul, so that we can grow closer to Him and be saved. Thus, through this false mindset, the devil has succeeded in making a person morally ambiguous without any true repentance, all the while proclaiming, God is love, and thus everything I'm doing is fine. May God and the holy angels keep us from all extremes, and lead us through the narrow gate with all holiness, purity, and grace.